Spoilers for Chapter 1132 of One Piece. If you're not caught up, feel free to keep scrolling. Now to address this comment. Saiga, what is your take on the relevance of the author of that final message Louis Arnot has in the story? So, I'm not sure, but he does definitely have a connection to the giant. See, the first time that we hear about him is in Little Garden, because he's the person who gave it its name. Nami mentions that she remembers reading about the island of Little Garden, and she finds the mentions of the island in the book Bragman. The quote is, "To its inhabitants, the island truly is a little garden. Therefore, let's call it Little Garden, Land of Giants." Now, this is the first time that we see Bragman. The second time that we see Bragman is amongst the books in Ohara. A little side note about that, as Oda explains in this SBS, if you want to pause to read, Bragman is actually a collection of stories from different authors that detail all the fantastical things about the Grand Line. And while people who know about the Grand Line, like the scholars of Ohara, consider this book to be non-fiction, people in the blues, people who don't really experience non-normal things, actually believe Bragman to be a book of fiction. Now, this second entry that we see from Louis Arnot is also from the book Bragman, this time about Elbaf. Visiting Little Garden and Elbaf, this is where people say, okay, he had a connection to the giant. As far as his plot relevance, I think that might be determined by when he lived. See, with him being the one to name Little Garden, there's two possibilities of how he came up with the name. Either he saw the giants and named it the Land of Giants, or he saw the dinosaurs of Little Garden and called it Little Garden because of that. If he wrote it about the dinosaurs, then that would put his entry at prior to 100 years ago. However, if he wrote it about the giants, then that was within the last 100 years. And since the book was there at the destruction of Ohara, that means that the book is at least 22 years old. So somewhere within 100 to 22 years ago, Louis Arnot visited Little Garden. Depending on exactly when that was, he may actually still be alive in the story. So if he's not alive in the story, then he could be used to connect different islands together. But if he is alive in the story, then he could be used for anything. He could even be the man marked by flames. I mean, as an individual explorer who made it all the way to Elbaf, he's gotta be powerful. And as one of the world's leading authorities on the Grand Line, he's gotta be knowledgeable too, and probably has quite a few connections.